know about you, but sometimes I find that talking about Christianity can be an overwhelming minefield to step into. And I don't think I'm the only one. It's just so tangled up with all our ideas, opinions, and emotions, you know? Plus, you don't want to say the wrong thing. You don't want to offend anyone. You don't want to sound stupid or be accused of not being faithful enough for not knowing something. And I think that's why so many people say they never talk about religion in mixed company. Luckily, Tammy and Laura don't have a problem talking about any of it. They understand that theology is an ongoing conversation between people of faith who are just trying to get closer to the truth about who and what God is. And it's in the conversation that things become untangled. Welcome to Untangling Faith. We're pretty excited that you're here. Okay, so welcome back. Welcome to season 2 of Untangling Faith.
2 whole seasons? Yeah. Well, 1 whole season. Soon to be 2 whole seasons. Yes. Yeah. That's exciting.
Yeah. So we're doing things, a few things a little bit differently this season. Why don't you talk about some of those?
All right. Well, obviously you're seeing us here, so which means that we are on video for the first time ever. Yes. So I'm going to ask you in advance to forgive me for acting awkward for a while. This is not my comfort zone, but we also have gotten a lot of feedback from people saying, I really wish you had some video. I enjoy watching people more than I enjoy listening.
It is a thing. And a lot of podcasts now have moved to being like on YouTube where you can be seen as well as heard. And so we're giving it a try, but it is not our comfort zone to do.
Right. Like, does my hair look okay?
Yeah.
And is this my good side or is this my bad side?
Well, and we have intentionally set it up so that we can't see ourselves.
Yeah.
And so we hopefully will forget that the camera is there and we'll just have conversations. But it also means that we're probably going to fidget or sit in ways that are awkward.
You're going to see me wipe my nose a lot.
Yes. And also being on camera, having the camera set up means that you not only see us, but you see an environment that we're in. And so we're in a corner of my living room at home. And today I think I cleaned up pretty well, but I can't always promise that you won't see cords or wires or because I live here.
Right.
I don't just film here. I live here. So, yeah, and we may do some other locations from time to time. So, you know, the scenery may change, but
well, especially because something else that we're going to be doing differently this year is we are trying to line up more guests. So it's not just you listening to us anymore, which we can't believe you listened in the first place. So anyway, but yeah, so we're going to have some guests, which means we may have to reconfigure the camera to get everybody in and things like that.
There may even be sometimes that in order to get a guest that we really would like to have be part of the conversation, that we have to do it on Zoom. And so you'll have a screen, you'll see a screen with 3 or 4 of us on there. But we do want to bring in some other voices, and we've even committed. We hear your feedback and we invite it regularly. Is that when we have a guest, we need to talk less and enjoy the guest. But we're both really talkative, so that's hard.
We're chatty.
Yes. Sunday morning, our children's minister was doing the children's moment at church, and she asked everybody, and I had joined them for it, and she asked everybody to describe themselves in one word. And there was a little bit of like commotion over here on this side to my left. And later I found out it was because they were taking bets on like what one of 2 words that I would use to describe myself, stubborn or talkative. And I went with stubborn Sunday morning, and they were like, either one of them totally could have worked. We're also looking at playing with different lengths of the podcast episodes that we release. We know that a lot of podcasts are not quite as long as ours are, but I really believe the topics that we're digging into need around an hour or so for us to really dig into them.
Sometimes longer. We're really pulling back to get it within an hour.
The topics that we're trying to do in the explorations of our faith journey that we're committed to doing are not things that lend themselves well to like the 7, 10, or 15 minute format. But what we are going to try is to do a regular conversation, which will be an hour or more, and then divide that into 2 episodes of around 30 minutes in length and try to be consistent about releasing an episode every single week so that you'll know that, like, every Tuesday morning you'll have an episode dropping. And we invite your feedback. Would you rather us be consistent about when we're releasing, or would you rather have the full episode released at one time? Because I think we both agree that a full hour podcast is not something that either of our schedules really allow us to do.
Yeah, we can't do that every week
with our ministry contexts and our staffs, and we don't have a podcast staff.
No.
It's us.
Yeah, mostly Tammy. To be honest, I'm not a techno person.
I'm more on the tech. I'm more the techie side of our podcast. You're more the topic,
The content.
the content, and
Yeah.
the guest
Yeah.
stuff. And I'm more. I try to make it happen once Laura's kind of. But that's also why you don't get deeply edited stuff. You hear us stumble over our words, talk over each other, and now you're going to get to see us reposition, knock stuff over, make noise.
Look at our notes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
We edit the beginning and the end, really is what we primarily do, unless we really have a bungle and we're like, that's got to go. And that's usually around things that we may say, we may name a person or a group that we felt isn't helpful in the long run. Because we remind you that we're committed to not telling you how to think, but to getting you thinking.
Yeah. To maybe give you something to work with so that you can think about things in a new way and form your own opinions. And of course, we are very opinionated and we're going to say our opinions and things like that. But there is never the expectation from us that you should just believe what we believe and think the way we think. Because that's really what we're pushing against, is that worldview, that there is only one way to think.
And the fact that we openly share our opinions is to really convey to others that it's okay to have an opinion, and it's okay to have an unpopular or a minority opinion or a differing opinion. And one of my opinions is that if you are in a faith community where you are not allowed to question and discover where you land, that in itself may be something you really need to think about.
Yeah,
I don't think that's a healthy environment.
For me, that's problematic. You know, I'm constantly telling my congregation, if you don't feel, especially when someone comes in new and they sit in on Bible study, for example, or something, you know, if you ever hear me say something that you are not comfortable with or that you don't understand, first of all, feel comfortable, feel safe to raise your hand right there in Bible study. Go, I don't get that, or that makes me feel uncomfortable, or that hurts my feelings, whatever. That if you don't feel safe enough to do that in your own church, then you're probably in a cult or a cult wannabe organization,
a high controlled religious group,
highly controlled, yes,
on cult.
And so, you know, I am not an aspiring cult leader. I've heard that there are some people in my community who don't like me, call me a cult leader, which is hysterical. But my church members very lovingly say she must be the worst cult leader I've ever met, because I try so hard. Apparently what has happened is some folks in my church have learned to start thinking for themselves, and a more controlling person in their life has then not liked that.
But I've never known any pastor, any minister, any person in vocational ministry who has been liked by everybody.
No. No.
It is a career challenge that you're inevitably going to have some people who don't like you.
I was just recently
don't agree with you,
right,
and or maybe don't like you, and I feel like we get some of it by virtue of being female.
Yeah,
they don't like us being female, particularly high control, which is a topic we're going to talk about. They don't like mouthy women.
No,
and I am one.
I've been called bossy by my boss. You know, you're a little bossy, right? Well, he has never lived that down. ever. Actually, that boss was Carl Gebhardt, who was here a few episodes ago. Yeah, it was funny. We were in the middle of doing an ordination service at our church, and unbeknownst to the two of us, the ordinee or the person who was being ordained came to each of us and said, "Will you please just take the lead?" But didn't tell us that he had asked that of the other one as well. So I took the lead and apparently stepped on Carl's toes a couple times in when we were in meetings with like regional ministers and things like that and everything. And afterwards, at a meeting afterwards, he was like, Laura, you can be a little bossy. And
I can hear his voice after having been,
Laura, you can be a little bossy. It was literally the first criticism I think I'd ever received from him. And then I explained, I said, well, he asked me to whatever. And he bowed his head and he shook his head. He was like, oh my God, he asked me to too. And he realized that all of the frustration and animosity he had towards me was really because of the other guy that misled both of us about what his expectations were and didn't, and we didn't have all the information. And so he was like, you're not bossy, you're just a good leader. So anyway, it's funny. Every now and then I'll throw that out and be like, oh, I'm sorry. Am I being bossy?
I enjoy when we have district and conference meetings and you see a room full of leaders as they're trying to cooperate. And I do believe that one of the good qualities of a good leader is also the ability to follow.
Absolutely.
But when we're collaborating,
and
everybody wants to contribute to that and it's interesting to watch. And inevitably, it's one or two emerge, and the word bossy might apply. On there. Sometimes it's me. Sometimes it's me. Yeah. So we're looking forward to this season. I don't know that we've decided exactly how many episodes there will be.
Yeah, we had 12 last season. We could very easily double that this season if we do half-hour shows instead of hour-long shows. So stick with us and let us know. No, we want the hour-long show. I need an hour, or I prefer to listen to the whole thing. I don't want to wait another week to hear the rest of that story. Or, yes, I love this, whatever it is, or it's all right, or whatever. Let us know. We really genuinely want the feedback.
We really do take the feedback and have conversations and see if we can better serve you. And better meet your needs and meet you on your faith journey.
And of course, you can contact us on our Facebook page, Untangling Faith, and also our email address, which is untanglingfaithpodcast@gmail.com.
And now you'll be able to find us on a YouTube channel.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And you can make comments there as well.
So we're excited, and we'll see you episode 1 of season 2 coming soon.
Welcome. We love you.
Laura and I want to thank you again for listening to Untangling Faith. Your comments, thoughts, questions, and ideas are greatly valued and even necessary to keep our episodes relevant. Please email your thoughts to untanglingfaithpodcast@gmail.com, which you can find in the About This Episode section of the podcast. We'd also appreciate it if you would share Untangling Faith on social media. Help us keep the conversation going. Thanks again, and we love you.